Gearheads, thanks for tuning in. Today Dan will not steer wrong when he reseals the steering box on the Chevelle. Hey Dan, run that intro.
Hey Gearheads, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be pulling the power steering gearbox out of the car and resealing both the Pitman arm shaft seal and the steering shaft seal. So watch along, hopefully it won't be any problems and it'll be nice and quick and easy. So here's the steering gearbox. I'm going to have to take off these two pump lines that go to the pump. We're going to have to take the steering shaft off, disconnect the Pitman arm, and then there's 3 bolts that hold it onto the chassis, and then we'll get it out on the bench and show you what we're looking at. Oh, look at that. Nice and easy. Alright, so we'll just get this nut off. You can see how wet it is down here, which is how I found out that it was leaking. I have to clean this up before I put it back together, but we'll be in good shape to get it off. So, and it's gonna come right off nice and gently. That shows you where the right tool for the right job comes in really handy. So we're just gonna drop that down, and once it clears that, it'll slide out of the way. All right, up to the steering shaft. So the steering shaft, I have to disconnect the bolt down there on the clamp, and then up here there's another clamp. I'll loosen that so the shaft can slide up, and then we'll separate it from here. Now the top one was a nut and a bolt. This bottom one is just in a clamp. So just going to clean it up a little bit and just need a ratchet and a socket. Now you do need to pull this bolt completely out because it does sit in a little groove in there. Now for these lines, I definitely recommend you either use a flare wrench or a crow's foot flare. That way, since it's hollow, you won't crush it if it's real tight. But this should get both of these off nice and easy. Alright, and that's the other one. So now we just got 3 bolts in the frame. So we're going to work on those now. Alright guys, so like I said, there's 3 bolts holding the box on. You have 1, 2 here. The third one is actually right behind here. What I'm going to do is pull these 2 out first, and then this last one I'll loosen, and instead of the bolt having to come out this way, which I'd have to take the whole front bumper bracket off to clear, as I loosen it with a wrench, it'll just shove the box that way and the box will come off. There it is. Now in doing this, there's a chance the box may fall, so might have to put the jack under or something just to hold it. Then as soon as I loosen that inside bolt, this will swing down. It's going to get held up on my sway bar, so I'm not worried about it falling out or anything. So that's those 2 bolts. And now we'll go for the third one from the inside. So this is looking down from the top. Here's that third bolt. So I'm just going to loosen the head here. Like I said, I don't have clearance to pull it out because of the bracket for the bumper. So I'm just going to loosen it, and then the pump should fall off that way. As long as I can get this loose, we'll be all right. All right. What's the plan when this does get loose? It's probably going to fall down. I don't think there's too much I can do about that. It's actually being held up by the Pitman arm, so lift it up out of that. Drain it out of the way. Alright, we're out. So part 2, we'll be pulling out the seals and resealing it, but I got to clean off the bench and get ready for that. So let's go to that right now. Alright, well this top one looks pretty good, so I don't think I'm going to bother with that. If it's not leaking, it's best to leave it alone, because if you open it up, you might have a chance of making it leak. But the Pitman arm shaft seal is definitely the one that's leaking. You can see the wetness around here, and this is all moist. So I'm going to clean this all up a little bit, and then we'll I'm going to take this whole thing out. So the easiest way to do it is take these 4 bolts off. This whole thing will pop out. That'll allow me to get in here to pull these seals out, and I can reinstall them, and I'll put the shaft back in, and I'll get this all cleaned up as well. Alright, so when you're knocking this out, you will get fluid leaking out of it, so be ready for that. And you just want to go very gently. And pop it on out. If you don't move anything, you'll be able to get it right back in. Alright, so here's the contents of the kit. You have the snap ring that goes on the top, then you have 2 washers, and then you have 2 seals. Now the seals have a flat side and they have a grooved side. There's also a thicker seal and a thinner seal. So you want to look at the directions to see which one goes where. So here's the directions. There is 2 different types. There's a Saginaw 800 and a Saginaw 605. The 800 has 4 bolts on it, and the 605 has 3 bolts on it. So we are looking at a 605, so we're going to look at those directions. So we're looking at first the Pitman shaft seal, and then a washer, and then the dust seal, and then a retaining ring. So we're only going to use 1 washer, and the shaft seal is the thicker one, and the dust seal is the thinner one. Alright, so the first thing to remove is this snap ring, which you can use snap ring pliers if you've got them, or you can use needle nose probably, or there's other ways to get these things out if you don't have the correct tool. Now these are usually in there pretty good, and sometimes they go flying around, so you definitely want to be careful pulling them out. Sometimes the washer may be stuck in here from the pressure, so you may need to just get in here and kind of loosen it up from the seal. Try not to damage anything if you're doing that. Once you loosen the washer up, that should come right out. You can use a magnet, or like mine was a little stuck, so I had to pry it up. And then these are your seals. So you just want to take those out very gently. Now, as you're getting this out, you want to be careful not to score the outer edge, so you want to try and stay on the inner edge and pop these guys out. So I'm going to put this aside in order so I remember how they go back in, and just to double check. So I got the ring, then the washer, then this was down, so solid side up. And then we got another washer. This one's coming right out. So we are going to use both washers. And then this is the other seal. Alright, for this inside one, since I don't want to mar up the side or the bearing, I'm going to try using this plastic tool to see if I can get it up without scratching anything. Now there are seal removal tools, of which I do not have. So I have one of these, so I'm going to stick that in there and see if this will do something. Alright, plan D. I'm going to try and take a pair of pliers and see if I can grab it out of there. Just want to make sure they're clean. I may have to use the screw trick I've seen some people online do. Alright, I got this. Let's see what this does. Again, I want to be very careful not to mar up that inner edge. Let's see if this will get it out. Well, none of these tools are working, so I think I'm going to try drilling the 2 holes and putting screws in it and trying to pry up on each end with it. So we're going to go to that now. Alright, so I'm going to use these drywall screws and pre-drill it with 3 30-seconds bit, staying away from the side and making sure I don't get into that bearing. Now getting these screws in, you just want to go a little bit so you can get it in there, and then what we're going to do is pry up on that with 2 pair of pliers. As long as you don't score anything when you're drilling the holes and getting the screws in, then this should not do any damage on the inside because you're just pulling the seal out. There it goes. Alright, so big seal on top, small seal on bottom. They both go flat face down. So now I'm going to go ahead and clean this up real well, and then we're going to put all the new seals right back in. Alright, so I laid everything out the way it goes in. The thin one goes first, flat side up, then a washer, then the thick one, flat side up, then a washer, then the snap ring. I have a 1 1/4 inch socket that actually fits about the same as the washer, and it fits right inside there, so you know it's going to go down evenly. So you want to make sure that you're getting that in straight. So I'm going to just dip my finger in a little of that steering fluid to lube this up, and you definitely want to make sure that this is going in straight. Get it started in there, and then go ahead and knock it down. You'll feel when it gets to the end, it's going to be pretty much a solid stop. So get this on here. Actually, even better idea would be to put the washer on it and knock on that. That way you're knocking on the washer, not on the bearing. I'm going to do the same thing with this one, just get it started and then put the washer on it. Alright, and this, you know, all you got to do is get below where the snap ring goes, and that's golden. So we'll grab our snap ring pliers. And squeeze that. Get the snap ring in there. Make sure it's in the groove all the way around. Alright, I think we're ready to put it back together. Alright, so when you're ready to put the sector shaft back in, it is possible the inside is moved. All you need to do is just rotate it back and make sure the gears are up and in line. Same with when you're putting it in, just jiggle it around. You can use the end of the shaft to rotate a little bit back and forth, and that should help you getting it in. And another trick I saw a guy do, we're going to clean this up first, but since it's tall up here and short down here, if you rotate it around, put the gears on the bottom, then when you're putting it in, you can see where the gears are at, center that up, and then you'll know where you're going when you get it in there. Doesn't feel like there's any grooves or anything in it. And then we'll go ahead and feed it into it. Be very careful when you're going past the needle bearings and everything else. Alright, once you get it all the way in, rotate this around and get it set up for that. Now you put these 4 bolts on, torque them up to 40 foot-pounds. So we got these 4 bolts in. I'm going to tighten them in a cross pattern to 40 foot-pounds, and then you also want to check the gasket before you put this together and make sure that you don't need a new one. Alright, that's pretty much it for reassembly. I'm going to clean it up, put it back in the car, and we'll see how we did. Then you want to check your fluid, start your car up a couple times, run the wheels back and forth, and then you want to check it, and just note that there's a hot. Can you see that?
Yeah, you can see that.
It says there's a hot, which is up to here, and then the other side is cold, and that's way down here. So just realize that there's 2 different levels that you need to be measuring at, whether you're cold or hot. If you're just starting it up and measuring it, you probably want to be at the cold. If you let it run too long, then it might get up to hot, but you want to make sure you get all the bubbles out and make sure it's at the right level when you're done. Alright, so that's it for the power steering. Like I said, you want to make sure you turn your steering wheel lock to lock a couple of times with it running. Make sure you work all the bubbles out, and you want to check that level again once it's hot and warmed up, and make sure it's at the correct level.
Well, that's it for this episode. You can leave comments below, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you get notifications when new videos are uploaded.
So thanks for watching, and until next time, stay positive and keep on wrenching. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. What we're looking at this week is shadow on the wall. Oh, that smells good. Need the right size ratchet in the socket. It's not the right size either. Chill up when guys on YouTube say, we'll do this and see what happens. Drain pan, drain pan, drain pan. And then these are your seals. So you just want to take those out very gently. How am I going to get those out very gently? We'll see. Might have to go to plan B. What is plan B? Don't know. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and torque these 4 down. I'll use an X pattern and do it with to 40 foot-pounds. I'm not even in the shot. Are you looking?
Yeah, I asked you, do you want me to turn the camera? Yeah.
Alright, so 60 to 80 is the torque for these, so we're going to get the right socket. Which is very difficult with a glove. It's the old shake the glove off the hand trick. That's not 70, that's 40. We're just getting started here. Be sure to subscribe to Ashtastic videos.
Yes, please. I need more subscribers. I'm going to be uploading new videos.
There's a tag on your dress. Bloopers. Beep!